Hello, beautiful souls. I'm going to do this video while I'm driving, so this angle is going to be weird because it's where it's resting. But I don't have a lot of time, and so I'm going to use what time I have to myself today and get this video out there. What is going on between the two eclipses, lunar and solar, right now, is that a lot of stuff is going to be exposed. And with the Mars placements, Libra placements, in your chart, external, internal, there is a lot coming up, a lot about people being radically honest, but not putting up with BS. We all know that since the 60s, there's been these radically honest circles that were not real at all, where people drummed and shared their deepest whatever, and Christianity, it's the prayer circle, and, you know, it's always the same crap. It's always people playing my games with each other, and the few that are actually brutally honest are taught they're inappropriate. So all that's coming up right now is about brutal honesty and about standing in your power. And I just have this majorly to say: do not let anyone tell you that the trauma and the drama that you've been through, unless you don't want to hear it, is inadequate, is imperfect, is somehow wrong and bad, and you should never bring it up and talk about it because it's inappropriate. What do we live in? Closeted Victorian times in the 1800s? You know, is this a Charles Dickens novel or something? Oh yes, if it was a Charles Dickens novel, it'd be all out there with the pantaloons. And if it's on TV, quite frankly, you're all fine with that. But when it comes to reality, you're too traumatized because you're in your bubble. Well, I'll tell you something. Every woman I have ever met, and men, that can carry it right, your scars are beautiful. Your scars are what make you a warrior. Not that you have to point out every single one and talk about every single one, but yeah, that's what veterans do. They share. But somehow in society, when we're talking about we want to change abuse and we want to change how the world is, but we want to shut the people up who've been abused, put them away, drug them up, drug them down, refuse to let them be in their state of trauma while they're trying to get out of it, because there are some of us that are seriously doing the work for it and have had to multiple times because we got into our heart space and recognized our soul and Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call that, highest self. And then we were traumatized again. And there is a such thing as victims. And there's some people that want to do this shame and blame and guilt thing with no victim mentality. And you can never be a victim. And I go in and out of phases of not wanting to have anything to do with my victimness. But especially with this stuff going on right now, I'm a healed badass mama. And if you don't like that and that fucks with your reality, go back to watching your trauma on TV. You don't need a real friend. You just need a television or a book. Because I'm real. My trauma is real. And I'm not blowing it out of proportion. Actually, as a Scorpio and a Libra, I'm dumbing it down, thinking of everybody else before me. But my channel is about the horrible things that happen. So it's okay for you to get all worked up listening to the news, or, oh, they're taking our children and there's thousands of children going missing. Oh, they're sacrificing them. And you get all drama, and you argue about stuff, political stuff. But when it comes to meeting that in reality, right away, you can't handle it and you want to shut it up and shut it down. I'm going to say it again. My light and my darkness is my wholeness. That's called yin and yang. And sometimes astrologically, more of it needs to come out, not just for myself, but for the collective. So it's not being selfish. It's actually protecting me and enlightening you. So I was re-traumatized again in the past months and did some things to undo that, and now I cut myself off from everybody, and I'm healing and working with my soul space again, my ghost, which is, you know, blowing up. But then I met someone else who started all the same triggers. It was like I met my person from the past all over again, though I wouldn't consider that person necessarily violent or not, though they had an Illuminati tattoo indicating what they were. Whether or not they know that and it was just from tripping on acid or drugs or something, I don't know. You don't know what people are telling you, but you know the symbols. And the energy of a human being and symbols speak louder. So I told this person no from the beginning. Let them read my articles, be part of my stuff on Facebook, and then, which is a limited people, like 43. And then they started, buttering me up. And then it was the back and forth, in and out energy. And the I have to explain everything because I'm triggering them. And I realized that it was a narcissistic game that maybe they don't realize they're doing. Most likely they do. And so all my triggers came up. And you know what I did to that person? I trauma dumped on them. I trauma dumped on them majorly. And I trauma dumped on them on purpose. Because I'm like, you want me to mollycoddle you and baby you and heal you, but you don't want to hear about how I got here? Well, guess what? You're not ready for the journey because you can't handle it. You want your little world to look good, feel good, and be AI. Well, I'm sorry, but even AI is violent and gruesome. Why? Because human beings programmed it. Because this is what's in us, and unless we get rid of these things and we can talk openly about things, and I don't mean with people who just want to be negative and rough and dark and live in their blackness because, I'm Satan and I'm evil. Okay, that person's saying they don't want help. But people who say they're love light and they can own their darkness and talk about it and teach others how to avoid it and teach others that this shit exists out there, you better embrace that because that person is a warrior, or you had better, STF and walk away because you cannot handle reality. Now, I'm not telling you stay in negativity. I'm not telling you walk in darkness. I'm not telling you have to share in others. You don't. You don't have to love this world nor one single thing in this world but your own ghost inside your body. And that is the most important thing you can do for anyone, first of all, is to love yourself and get in your heart space. And if you don't understand that, don't try to unpack somebody else's trauma and drama. Don't tell them how to get over it. Don't talk about your past trauma and then ignore trauma that just happened to them. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but because you're coming from a more healed place, you can't hear someone else's trauma. Well, then you're not really healed. You're in a shell. And there's a difference. And I've gone through all those stages and I respect them. I'm not putting them down. I'm simply saying this world is not going to change until people understand what is appropriate and inappropriate. And if you find every way you can to trigger me, I am going to purposely trauma dump on you and then say, do you like those scars? And if you don't, look away, because I don't need you looking at me and saying victim. I know I'm a victim. I know that I didn't call on the whole universe to be this way or act this way, or for there to be child murderers or, other horrible things we are not allowed to say anymore on this channel because it's not authentic. It's not real. So this month is going to be all about revelation. And there's going to be some major stuff come out. And if you don't like it and you don't want to hand it, you better find a cloister to live in. Because I'm telling you, it's coming out. It's coming out of all of us, and it's going to come out of you. And if you don't deal with it, that's going to be your problem. You can continue to live in your love light BS and the lies of the channelers that have been on YouTube lying the last 7 years. Or you can hive mind with their ascended masters, because that's what ascended masters do. Jesus did it too. Or you can be your own self and your own alchemist. And those who are on my channel know that that's what I'm about. And actually, lately, because of my trauma and recent deeper delve into alchemy, I only believe in inner alchemy. I don't believe in proving God exists on the external at all. And I've seen what these alchemists do and what they create. And I think if you want to watch a good movie showing how sadistically perverse they are, watch Poor Things. And if you don't think taking a child's brain and put it in an adult body, and then having that person act out as a little child in an adult body isn't gray area porn. Literally. You've got problems and you don't see yourself. I watched a quarter of that movie, and I had watched a bunch of clips before it, but it doesn't show you like on YouTube what the whole movie is. I watched a quarter of it and I'm like, this is absolutely positively disgusting. And it's not about triggering, it's about morals. Because I faced abuse from the time I was a child. I faced the fact that all of society hides that, and my family says, oh, if you've done X, Y, Z, you don't ever tell anybody those things. So don't you believe in radical honesty, drumming circles, and stuff like that, because the people that lead them that I've met, they're in these cults. One of them that triggered and abused me was a leader in one of these cults. You want to tell people that? No, they don't want to know. They just want to know their group is love and light and it's about healing. So you think you can heal with that kind of energy hidden leading your group. You're a fool. You're a fool and you're complacent. And you want me to come along and fix you or minister to you, and you don't want to see the battlefield where I earned my scars, and you don't want to see anyone else's when it is the appropriate time to speak about it, because astrologically it is coming out. Therefore, pop the pimple before it turns into a boil. If you don't know astrology internally, you will never get it externally. And if you don't study astrology from the point of the human body, you don't get it. And as I've said before, you can study shamanism, anities, path. I don't care what you're studying. But if you're not doing the inner alchemy and you're expecting to do it with a group or a group to do it for you, you are definitely trauma dumping, because you're using someone else's electrical system to circumvent your trauma and lie about it and bind it even deeper in yourself. So there are a bunch of card readers and a bunch of different people who are losing clients left and right because they are working with the real astrology and the real times, and they're not hiding it. It's not going back to the closeted 1800s, which is what YouTube, Facebook, all these platforms are trying to do to make a new world order and a new religion. They allow you so much freedom, and then they yank it from you and make you pay. What's free becomes a cost. What you've invested in is no longer free, it costs you money. And this is what people always do with me with Tantra, with men. It's like, okay, you want to know what you're going to work with up front? This is the trauma that's in me. Do you want to hold that in your auric field? Well, you're expecting me to hold mine and yours because I am the container. So no way in hell am I going to be appropriate for you when you've done nothing but play games with my energy and trigger me from the beginning. And I tell you no, and you still flat out no, you still pursue it, then who are you? You're abusive, you want to trigger, you're a liar, you want to think you're better than everybody else. I've dealt with that in these men. Black groups, white groups, tantrics, alchemists, you name it. And I will still, though I don't have to work with the old way I did alchemy, which was purposely triggering everybody, as they triggered me, to the degree they triggered me, I would turn it on them. And since I got into my heart space, I don't deal with BS. And nobody's going to get my energy that doesn't deserve it and earn it. Just not happening. It's idiotic to think that you can get something for free. And even when it's free monetarily, that you think that someone doesn't deserve a roof over their head, and they're doing this a crazy spiritual work for you, and you think they're going to pay their way while they're doing it, and then they got to contain all your trauma and your drama? Well, you don't know a stinking thing about your own electrical field, your auric field, the auric field of your sperm individually, or any other part of you. Don't be fooled, ladies. You are a container for the positive charge in the battery. You hold everything. And if you can't hold that, don't get involved with it. And they'll try to hide it from you as much as possible, because that's why they're traumatized in the first place. But, you know, the whole thing about inner alchemy is you doing your own work. when you get to it with a partner, you had better be ready. Excuse me, I can't look at you yet. You better be ready to do the work. And you better be gifted, not just say, I'm a tantric because I can hold my breath and release my breath and hold off an orgasm. And no, that's not it. You have to read people's minds. You have to read their body. And then, like what happened to me, you have to hold everybody else's trauma while they abuse you and try all the tricks in their bag to take your energy, your life force, and to kill you, to absorb you, because that's what shamans are like. I'm going to absorb you or you absorb me. It's also what any black alchemist or anyone into dark magic does. And they will hide that to the bitter end because they're hiding their trauma and they don't want to change. They just want your life force. So right now, I'm going to be very brutally honest about all my abuse, and people can handle that or they can walk away. And I am going to keep saying I am not for this religious love light lying BS. Yes, there's appropriate things to do. I don't think it's appropriate to go with a thong on the beach, but hey, that's allowed, but you can't do that in public. There's a place for everything, and everything in its place. And if you want to hang yourself on that nail, you go ahead and do that. And I am not against public nude places even. But, come on. Are you being lascivious? Do you want attention? What's your reason for being there? Or are you just a person that thinks nudity is normal and natural and that you don't have to be scared of it or traumatized by people who are going to abuse it? Which you will at public places like that. You'll have to deal with that because those creeps are everywhere now. Why? Because we let them hide. We hide those predators in the church. We hide them in the love and light community. We hide them in the drum circle. We hide them within ourselves. Right now, you better kiss everybody else's little boo-boos and scars or walk away because it's not your place to work with them when they're going through it. It is love, light, and darkness, or there is no such thing as yin-yang. And the only way to reduce or contain duality is to be the fullness of both. Gray mage my butt. All these guys say this. They're just looking for the same thing. And I am not your positive charge right now. Thank you.